Good morning, everyone. We are the Group 3. Our topic for today is Lesson 3 Agrarian Reform from the Spanish Colonial Philippines to the present. There are four types of agrarian firm, which is land reform, pre-Spanish period, Spanish period in 1521 to 1896, agrarian uprising 1745 to 1746. Land reform is a government policy that aims to distribute agricultural land from large landowners to landless farmers and farm workers. Its goal is to give farmers ownership or secure rights to the land they cultivate so they can improve their livelihood and productivity. The purpose of land reform is to promote social justice and equality, to reduce poverty in rural areas, to give farmers land ownership or security of tenure, to improve agriculture productivity and food security. Why is land reform is important? In the past, land ownership was concentrated in the hands of a few wealthy families. This caused inequality, poverty, and conflict among farmers. Land reform helped correct this imbalance by giving farmers fair access to land and economic opportunities. Land reform of the Philippines. Land reform is implemented through the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, CARP. CERP aims to distribute agricultural lands of qualified farmers and provide support services such as credit, training, and farm assistance to help them sustain their livelihood. Challenges of land reform: resistance from landowners, legal issues and land disputes, lack of government support and funding, limited access to farm tools, capital, and training. Importance of land reform today. Land reform remains important today because it empowers farmers, promotes food security, reduces quality, and support national development. It helps build a more just and inclusive society by improving the lives of rural communities. Pre-Spanish period refers to the time in Philippine history before the arrival of Spaniards in 1521. During this period, Filipinos had their own culture, traditions, government, and way of life without foreign control. Purpose of the pre-Spanish period: to establish early Filipino communities, to develop culture, tradition, and beliefs, to create systems of governance such as the barangay, to build trade and relationship with neighboring countries. Why is the pre-Spanish period is important? Pre-Spanish period is important because it shows that Filipinos already had a civilized society even before colonization. It proves that early Filipinos were skilled in farming, trading, writing, and governing their communities. Pre-Spanish period in the Philippines. During the pre-Spanish period, Filipinos live in small communities, called barangays, led by a datu. People practice farming, fishing, and trading. They believe in a nitu and spirits, used early writing systems like by buying, and trade with China, India, and other Southeast Asian countries. Challenges of the pre-Spanish period: lack of modern technology, conflicts between barangays, limited medical knowledge, vulnerability for the foreign invasions. Importance of the pre-Spanish period today. The pre-Spanish period remains important today because it shapes Filipino identity, culture, and values. Understanding this period helps Filipinos appreciate their roots, traditions, and independence before colonizations.
So, good morning everyone. I will continue the reporting of the Spanish period 1521 to 1896. The Spanish period refers to the time when the Philippines was colonized by Spain, beginning with the arrival of Ferdinand Magellan in 1521 and ending in 1896 with the outbreak of the Philippine Revolution. During this period, Spain controlled the political, religious, and social life of Filipinos. Purpose of the Spanish period in 1521 to 1896. The purpose of Spanish period is to spread Christianity, especially Roman Catholicism, to expand Spanish power and territory, to control trade and natural resources, to establish a colonial government in the Philippines. Why the Spanish period in 1521 to 1896 is important? The Spanish period is important because it greatly influenced Filipino culture, religion, and tradition. It influenced Christianity, formal education, penal laws, and centralized government, which shaped Philippine society. Spanish period in 1521 to 1896 in the Philippines. During the Spanish period, the Philippines was governed by Spanish officials such as the Governor General. The encomienda system was introduced and Catholicism spread through missionaries. Towns, churches, schools, and roads were built, and Filipinos were introduced to Western education and laws. Next is the challenges of the Spanish period in 1521 to 1896. Number 1 is the abuse and exploitation under colonial rule. Number 2 is forced labor. Number 3, heavy taxes and land grabbing. Number 4 is the limited rights and freedom for Filipinos. And last is the resistance and revolt against Spanish authorities. So, these are the challenges of the Spanish period during the 1521 to 1896. Importance of the Spanish period in 1521 to 1896 today. The Spanish period remains important today because it shaped Filipinos' identity, religion, language, and culture. Understanding this period helped Filipinos learn from the past struggles, appreciate freedom, and value independence.
Uprising were a series of revolts Filipino farmers against Spanish authorities and religious orders. Choose uprising and caused mainly by land grabbing and unfair land policies during the Spanish colonial period. Di bali daw kay like nangwa sila yuta tapos ng unfair policies like mga rules sa ato sa una sa during Spanish period. Purpose of the agrarian uprising 1745 and 1746 to protest the seizure of farmers' lands, to resist underland ownership imposed by friars, to defend farmers' right livelihood, and to oppose abuses under Spanish colonial period. And the first is the Filipino farmers is want to be heard sa pagdungog nila. And number 2 is to tell everyone how unfair the land ownership. And the third is to define the farmers' right. And number 4 is lastly they want to tell that Spanish people doesn't treat them right sa pagtrato sa Filipino farmers. Why the agrarian uprising 1745 and 1746 are important? Just uprising are important because they show early Filipino resistance against injustice and land exploitation. They revealed how land issues were already a major problem even during the Spanish period. Ang mga Filipino farmers kay ginapatrabaho sila sa dili ilang yuta and tapos ginakuan pa gid og dako nga tax and sa owner daw ang issue nga ginaawayan og yuta. Yan uprising in the Philippines The uprising occurred in provinces such as Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, and Cavite. Filipino farmers rebelled against Spanish pharaohs who expanded haciendas and took lands that farmers had long cultivated. Ang mga mainly daw nga lugar nga gina-unfair treatment sa Spanish period ay Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, and Cavite. Mao pod ang ginatukod pod ang mga hacienda sa kanang mga lugar nga nasa mainly. Challenges of the Agrarian Uprising 1745 and 1746. An strong military power of the Spanish government, and poorly armed and organization farmers, and punishment and repression by authorities, and lack of illegal protection for Filipino farmers. Ang mga Filipino farmers kay dili nila kaya kontrolon ang Spanish government kay kuwang silag tao, kulang silag military, kulang pagit silag armas, and kulang pud silag legal protection sa mga Filipino farmers. Importance of the Agrarian Uprising 1745 and 1746. The Agrarian Uprising remain important today because they highlight the long history of land inequality in the Philippines. They help explain why land reform and farmers' rights continues to be major social issues in modern time. Ang nagyan daw sa una daw kay nganong importante gyapon ang Agrarian Uprising kay ang katudang mga Filipino farmers sa una kay lisod kay lang nagian kay gina untreatment pud sila sa Spanish, like ginakawatan pud sila mga yuta without us permission, like ginadaog-daogon ra mga Filipino farmers. That's all. Thank you.